The Arab world's history with the West is deeply rooted in colonialism. European powers carved up the Middle East, imposing political and economic systems. This dependency persists, intertwining political and economic interests. Cultural dominance further cements the West's grip on the Arab world. Understanding this history is key to exploring paths to autonomy. One of the most visible manifestations of Arab leaders' dependence on the West is in the realm of security. Many Arab nations rely heavily on Western powers for military hardware, training, and even direct intervention in times of conflict. This reliance on Western military might create a relationship of dependence. Arab leaders, often facing internal and external threats, find themselves beholden to their Western patrons for their very survival. This dependence on Western military aid often comes with strings attached. Western powers may use their leverage to influence the political decisions of Arab leaders, pushing them towards policies that align with Western interests. Furthermore, this reliance on external military support can stifle the development of indigenous defense industries and capabilities within Arab nations. By becoming dependent on Western arms and expertise, Arab countries limit their own potential for self-reliance in matters of national security. This dependence on Western military support is a major obstacle to achieving true autonomy in the Arab world. Breaking free from this cycle requires a shift in mindset, prioritizing regional security cooperation and investing in indigenous defense capabilities. The discovery of vast oil reserves in the Middle East brought about a dramatic shift in the global balance of power. Suddenly, the region found itself at the center of the world's energy market, supplying the fuel that powered Western economies. However, this newfound wealth often came at a cost: increased dependence on Western markets and technology. Many Arab nations, lacking the infrastructure and expertise to extract and refine their own oil, turned to Western companies for help. This led to the emergence of long-term contracts and partnerships that tied the economic fortunes of these countries to the West. While oil revenues brought about significant economic growth, they also deepened existing dependencies. This reliance on Western markets for their oil exports made many Arab nations vulnerable to fluctuations in global oil prices and Western economic policies. This vulnerability was further exacerbated by the fact that many Arab economies remained undiversified, heavily reliant on oil revenues and lacking in other sectors. Breaking free from this dependence on oil and Western markets is a monumental task, but it is essential for achieving genuine economic independence. Diversifying economies, investing in education and technology, and fostering regional economic cooperation are all crucial steps in this direction. Beyond the economic and military spheres, the West's influence in the Arab world extends to the political realm. Throughout history, Western powers have played a significant role in shaping the political landscape of the region, often supporting regimes that aligned with their interests, even if it meant turning a blind eye to authoritarianism and human rights abuses. This support has taken many forms, from providing financial aid and military assistance to offering diplomatic cover and legitimization on the international stage. Arab leaders, often facing internal dissent and regional rivalries, have sought to secure their grip on power by aligning themselves with powerful Western patrons. This dynamic has created a vicious cycle, where Western support props up autocratic regimes, stifling democratic reforms, and perpetuating a system where loyalty to Western patrons trumps accountability to their own people. This political interference has had a detrimental effect on the development of democratic institutions and processes in the region. Breaking this cycle requires a fundamental shift in the relationship between the West and the Arab world. Western powers must prioritize support for democratic values and human rights over short-term strategic interests, while Arab leaders must prioritize the needs and aspirations of their own citizens. Section 5. BRICS and the Silk Road. A new dawn in the East? In recent years, a new geopolitical landscape has begun to emerge. The rise of BRICS nations and China's Belt and Road Initiative present new opportunities for Arab nations to diversify partnerships. BRICS offers a platform for South-South cooperation, challenging Western dominance. China's BRI reshapes global trade routes. Arab nations can reduce dependence on Western markets. These partnerships offer promising alternatives. Approach with cautious optimism. Section 6. From Cairo to Riyadh, Arab nations test the waters. Across the Arab world, governments are increasingly recognizing the limitations of their traditional alliances and exploring new partnerships. From Egypt's participation in the BRICS New Development Bank to Saudi Arabia's growing economic ties with China, Arab nations are testing the waters, seeking to diversify their options and reduce their dependence on the West. These engagements are not limited to economic partnerships. Arab countries are also strengthening their political and security ties with BRICS nations, participating in joint military exercises and signing defense agreements. This shift reflects a growing desire for greater strategic autonomy and a recognition that the old rules of the game are no longer serving their interests. However, this shift towards the East is not without its challenges. Arab nations must navigate complex geopolitical rivalries and ensure that their engagement with BRICS and China does not come at the expense of their relationships with Western powers. Balancing these competing interests will require deft diplomacy and a clear articulation of their national interests. Despite these challenges, the growing engagement between Arab nations and BRICS, particularly China, represents a significant development in the geopolitical landscape. It reflects a growing desire for greater autonomy and a recognition that the world is no longer divided into neat spheres of influence. Section 7. Charting a Course to Sovereignty, a Roadmap for Arab Leaders. Breaking free from the cycle of dependence and achieving genuine autonomy is a formidable challenge, but it is not insurmountable. Arab leaders, if they are truly committed to this goal, must pursue a multi-pronged strategy that addresses the political, economic, and security dimensions of dependence. Firstly, Arab nations must prioritize regional cooperation and integration. By strengthening economic ties, coordinating foreign policy positions, and developing joint security mechanisms, Arab countries can reduce their reliance on external actors and project a more unified voice on the global stage. Secondly, economic diversification is essential. Over-reliance on oil exports in Western markets has made many Arab economies vulnerable. Investing in education, technology, and entrepreneurship, and fostering a more diverse and resilient economic base is crucial for long-term stability and independence. Thirdly, Arab nations must reduce their dependence on Western military aid and develop their own indigenous defense industries. This requires a long-term commitment to investing in research and development, training skilled personnel, and fostering regional cooperation in defense production. Section 8. Strength in Unity, Prosperity and Independence. The Arab world possesses immense potential. With its vast human and natural resources, strategic location and rich cultural heritage, the region has all the ingredients for a prosperous and influential future. However, realizing this potential requires breaking free from the shackles of dependence and forging a new path based on self-reliance, regional cooperation, and a commitment to the well-being of their own people. A more assertive and independent Arab world is not a threat to the West or any other power. On the contrary, it would contribute to a more stable and prosperous global order. A region that is confident in its own identity, secure in its own borders, and prosperous in its own right would be a valuable partner for the international community. The journey towards greater autonomy will not be easy. It will require bold leadership, visionary thinking, and a willingness to challenge the status quo. But the rewards of success, a more stable, prosperous, and influential Arab world, are well worth the effort. Section 9. A new era on the horizon, towards a more autonomous Arab world. The relationship between the Arab world and the West is at a crossroads. The old patterns of dependence, rooted in colonialism and reinforced by economic and military ties, are no longer sustainable. The rise of new global powers, shifting geopolitical alliances, and a growing desire for autonomy within the Arab world are creating new realities. While challenges remain, the future holds the promise of a more balanced and equitable relationship. By embracing regional cooperation, diversifying economies, and reducing reliance on external powers, Arab nations can chart a course towards greater independence and prosperity. This will require a fundamental shift in mindset, both within the Arab world and in the West. Western powers must recognize that their own interests are best served by supporting genuine autonomy and development in the region, rather than perpetuating cycles of dependence. The journey towards a more independent Arab world will be long and complex, but the potential rewards, a more stable, prosperous, and influential region, playing a constructive role in global affairs, are well worth the effort. The world is watching, hoping that Arab leaders will seize this opportunity to shape their own destiny and create a brighter future for their people.